Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generation discussion. And today, I wanted to talk to you guys about something major from the fallout from the last Boruto manga chapter, which was chapter 77. And now that Naruto's been sealed away and taken out of the story because of Kawaki's betrayal, Konoha has a major power vacuum, and by extension, so too does the entire Shinobi world, because the strongest of the 5 Kage and the strongest Hokage ever has been removed from the picture. There's a need for either an acting Hokage like we saw with Danzo, where it's someone who is approved by the feudal lord but hasn't officially been made Hokage via the Jonin Council, and a public ceremony on top of the Hokage rooftop, or we need to do the unthinkable and officially name the 8th Hokage. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at the top 5 candidates to replace Naruto as Hokage, from the least likely to the most likely. And Konohamaru fans, I hate to break it to you, but that man has as much hope of being the next Hokage as Littlefinger had of controlling the Iron Throne. It's never going to happen. So in order to establish who the candidates would be, we have to look at what it is that makes someone Hokage material in the eyes of the man who has the ultimate final say in the decision, the feudal lord of the Land of Fire. Based off of Naruto's manga, we can conclude a few things. The power of the Shinobi definitely matters, and for good reason. With every generation, the Hokage has always been the strongest of the 5 Kage, and that also includes Kakashi, which we'll touch on later on in the video when we do get to Kakashi. The other thing that the feudal lords look for is the quality of the sensei tree of the Shinobi, who their master was, their master's accomplishments, and then tie that into who the candidate's parents are and the teacher of their teacher. Finally, the overall accomplishments and the notoriety of the Shinobi being considered is factored in by the feudal lord after the candidates are brought forward for a selection. So now that we know what goes into making a Hokage, who are the most likely candidates for replacing Naruto as acting Hokage of Konoha? Starting things off with the least likely, we're going to be using the current Shadow Hokage, Sasuke Uchiha. Now let's be clear, Sasuke in a perfect world is who you would expect to replace Naruto, especially this version of Naruto, who a very strong argument can be made EMS Sasuke is stronger than Naruto without Kurama. On paper, if you look at his power, his name recognition, and the fact that he came from one of the founding clans of Konoha, and that same clan is one of the 4 noble clans of Konoha, and his sensei tree being as good as it is in terms of quality, it makes perfect sense to make Sasuke the 8th Hokage. He was first trained by Kakashi, who can trace his sensei tree all the way back to the first Hokage, since Kakashi was Minato's student, Minato was Jiraiya's student, and Jiraiya was a student of Hiruzen, who was taught by Hashirama and Tobirama. Sasuke was also trained by Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin, who can trace his sensei tree back to Hashirama as well. But the problem is that Sasuke in the Boruto era is still on probation. That probation is at the discretion of the Hokage. It's a lifetime probation at that, and we know from the light novels as well as from Boruto's own manga, there are still people in Konoha who have not forgiven Sasuke for his past crimes. Hence we see Jonin talking crazy to Sasuke at times in the manga, and Sasuke openly telling Boruto that if anyone needs to take on the hate for the village, it need to be him, which makes sense because while Sasuke is accepted by the younger generation and by the Konoha 11, there are others who have not forgiven him for what he's done. Sasuke, for right or for wrong, whichever side of the fence you're on, he's too divisive for a position that's meant to unite people. In a perfect world, none of that stuff matters, but sadly the world isn't perfect. At number 4, we're gonna go with somebody who's more likely to be Hokage than Sasuke, but is still a long shot, which is gonna be Tsunade. While Tsunade has been Hokage in the past, and there has been a prior moment in the past where the former Hokage stepped back into the position of Hokage after the successor was killed, or in this case it will be incapacitated, but Tsunade is further down that list right now for a few reasons. Despite her youthful appearance that Tsunade still maintains, she is actually older than the 3rd Hokage was in part 1 of Naruto. Hiruzen Sarutobi was 69 years old in Naruto part 1. Tsunade in Naruto part 1 was 51 going on 52, and 2.5 years later when Shippuden Shippuden took place, she was 54 going on 55, and by the end of the 4th Ninja War, she was 55 years old. 16 years later in Boruto, she's 71 years old. She run into the same problem that Hiruzen has. She's strong, but if at any point she's forced to fight, her stamina is going to come in, especially since, as Sakura said in the war, keeping up a youthful appearance wastes a lot of chakra. There's also the fact that following the 4th Ninja War, we know Tsunade went through a period where she backslid publicly with her drinking and her gambling habits, getting drunk as Hokage in broad daylight publicly where people could see her, and getting thrown out of gambling halls. It got to the point where even Naruto was raising his concerns to Kakashi after the 4th Ninja War, which I've covered in a whole nother video. Tsunade might offer counsel every now and then as a former Hokage, but taking back control of day-to-day duties might be a bit much for her. While I love Tsunade as a character and she's one of my personal favorites, now isn't the time for her to take back the mantle of Hokage. At number 3, we're going to be going with one of the 2 8th Hokage candidates that we know of in the story, which is Sakura Uchiha, who was one of the 3 shinobi that Kakashi groomed when he was Hokage for important roles in the village and with the intent of making them backup options for Hokage. She was one of the 2 people from her generation who were promoted to the traditional rank of Jonin by the events of Naruto the Last, with Shikamaru being the only other Jonin, which, as a reminder, Kakashi's promotion to Naruto to become Jonin was conditional and Naruto never fulfilled those outline conditions by his own words. So that anime filler scene, it doesn't apply here. Strength wise, Sakura has gotten stronger since the 4th Great Ninja War, which is really telling. Sakura during that time period was a lot stronger than people realize. Her fully unleashed Byakugo seal, which has a huge surge in chakra that can be used for healing obviously, but it can also be used to amp up the physical stats like the strength and speed. The Byakugo has a ton of chakra inside of it, with it being confirmed in Naruto's manga that her fully unleashed Byakugo has more chakra than 1/3 of 6-path Sage Mode Naruto, who's been enhanced with the QB chakra cloak. That's nothing to sneeze at all, especially when you consider how strong 1/3 of Naruto's full power is. I get it, the meme is to say Sakura is useless and Sakura is weak, but the lore says the exact opposite. She's got the accomplishment saving the lives of thousands during the 4th Ninja War according to the light novel set after the war, and she's made breakthroughs medically since the end of the 4th Ninja War and has reformed the hospitals and the mental care facilities in the 5 Great Nations, which I've discussed in greater detail in a video you should be seeing on the screen now. She's got the Sensei tree, being the only person on this list who can connect their Sensei tree to 6 of the 7 Hokages in terms of master and student relationship. Tsunade was her teacher, who was taught by Hiruzen, who was taught by Hashirama and Tobirama, so that's Hokage 5 and Hokages 1 through 3. Kakashi was her teacher, and Kakashi's teacher was Minato Namikaze, which gives her Hokage 6 and Hokage 4. Again, this is master and student. The whole thing of who your teammate is, that doesn't apply in terms of consideration. In the manga, not the anime. She's also been shown assembled with the other Kage, Shikamaru and Sasuke, during Sasuke's top secret meeting about his suspicions that there are more Sasuke stronger than Kaguya that they need to begin preparing for as a threat. She could fit that mantle, but she's in the middle of the pack on this list because the other 2 people above her are the most likely choices in my opinion, despite Sakura being someone who is literally one of the 2 persons on this list who embodies one of the things that Naruto fans say that they love about this series the most, which is the idea that an underdog born from no notable clan can overcome the limits society placed on them and become a somebody, maybe even potentially a Kage. Kakashi's father was the famed White Fang, who was said to be stronger than the legendary Sannin. Tsunade has Uzumaki and Senju lineage. Sasuke is a descendant of one of the founding clans of Konoha and is a member of the 4 noble clans of Konoha as well. And then you got this next guy. At number 2, we have Shikamaru, the right-hand man to Naruto as Hokage. He comes from the famed Nara clan, known for its intelligence, but Shikamaru is someone who, for even as far back as Naruto's manga, was hinted at having the qualities of someone who could be a great leader, even potentially a Hokage. Sure, Sure, the man slacked off a bit, but the way he conducted himself in the tuning exams showed the forward thinking to keep the bigger picture in perspective and to make the moves that in the long run would keep more of his comrades alive had that been a battle situation. Asuma, the son of a Hokage, openly claimed that Shikamaru had what it took to be a Hokage, and Tamari, the daughter of a Kage herself, said the same thing about Shikamaru during the 4th Great Ninja War. He's someone who honorably worked his way up through the lower ranks of the Hokage office, doing simple paperwork and working his way up during the blank period to become one of Kakashi's direct advisors. His sensei tree, while it only has Asuma on it, we know nothing about Asuma's teacher. Asuma is a former guardian for the feudal lord. He was considered to be a Konoha elite, and he is the son of a former Hokage, but we've seen Shikamaru has increased his strength by quite a bit in the Boruto era, being able to briefly stop an Otsutsuki in the tracks. But again, to restate, that's briefly. You could say, hey, that's an outlier. However, we do know that he was able to restrain each of the 5 Kage in a shadow possession jutsu until Naruto activated his Kyuubi cloak to force Shikamaru to dispel that jutsu, which I've discussed in a whole nother video. Shikamaru also works from a political perspective because he is married to Tamari, the sister of the current Kaze Kage and the daughter of the former Kaze Kage, so strengthening those relationships would be something that works. Most importantly, we've already seen him take over previously when Naruto was sealed away by Jigen and Sasuke was left near death. It lines up perfectly, though Shikamaru's way of doing things is a lot different than Naruto, with Shikamaru basically being Danzo with a heart. However, he's second on this list to the person I strongly believe is gonna take over as Hokage. So at number 1, the most likely person for Hokage, in my opinion, is Kakashi. Kakashi is the person I strongly believe is gonna step in for Naruto's Hokage. It explains why there isn't an 8th Hokage on the monument when Boruto and Kawaki are fighting. The idea, they want to wait to confirm if Naruto's alive or dead, and if he's alive, give him the opportunity to name his own successor. It makes a lot of sense. Kakashi is a former Hokage. He's the one who led Konoha into this age of technology, which a lot of people wrongfully give Naruto all the credit. However, on top of being a former Hokage, Kakashi is still in his 40s, making him significantly younger than Tsunade, which would be something that's ideal. He's also the Kage who Boruto's generation grew up with before Naruto became Hokage. In terms of notoriety, he's one of the heroes of the 3rd Ninja War and the 4th Ninja War. His name was in every bingo book across the continent. Despite losing the Sharingan, which I know a lot of people point to, he's actually stronger than he was in the 4th Great Ninja War, due to addition by subtraction. All the memes about how Warwick Kakashi had unlimited stamina and broke the power scaling because he went from barely being able to use Kamui to being able to spam the Sharingan and the Mangekyo Jutsu for an entire day and a half before he got access to Naruto's chakra. That's important simply because of the strain that the Sharingan puts on the body, and the need to set aside chakra for stamina purposes no longer applies to Kakashi. Think of it like Rock Lee taking off his weights. Remember that huge power increase Rock Lee got? It's a similar thing here. Only these are chakra weights if you think about it from that perspective. Kakashi without the Sharingan can also expel 100% of his chakra throughout his entire body, use earth release that is strong enough to withstand attacks from lightning release for 24 hours, and surround an entire village and rises higher than buildings of that said village for an entire 24 hours without exhausting his chakra when he does so. The chakra control needed to transform sections of the mud wall into glass by weaving hand signs so fast and channeling chakra in ways to heat up the mud wall in specific sections to change the physical properties is something that it was stated was only possible in scientific theory, with the only people in theory with the skill to pull off something like this being Naruto and Sasuke, due to one, their understanding of chakra and their extreme chakra control. A man who took out 300 mercenaries alone with only taijutsu and genjutsu and has managed to create fire release strong enough that he's able to turn giant bodies of water into mist upon contact. Kakashi has added quite a bit of ninjutsu to his arsenal on top of purposely training throughout the years to overcome his inferiority complex that he gives himself because he lost the Sharingan and the hacks abilities of Kamui. Understanding he no longer has those hacks abilities of the Sharingan and Mangekyo, and he can no longer safely perform the Chidori or the Raikiri, but that's exactly why he trained over the past 16 years and surpassed his Warwick power level. Not my headcanon, that's literally what's been stated. There's a tendency to bring up, well, he didn't destroy that meteor during Naruto the Last, but that's a bit disingenuous when you look at all the information we have. That meteor was bigger than any of the others that the other villages had to deal with, and that same meteor with the Suicide Core, a group of inner gates users led by Rock Lee, who each went into the 6th gate, were unable to destroy that meteor. Sasuke, who is stronger than Kakashi, still had to blitz that meteor and use the Chidori, which has an insane destructive power behind it, given that Sasuke using that Chidori in order to destroy that meteor. It makes perfect sense. Kakashi is strong, but Sasuke, by the events of Naruto the Last, he and Naruto were already at a power level where they're beginning to rival Kaguya when we look at the light novels and the promotional statements around that period in time. Kakashi simply isn't scaling that high. He's not going to reach Kaguya level. Could he take on a 10 Tails and win? Absolutely. Could he take on a 10 Tails Jinchuriki and win? Absolutely not. The 10 Tails Jinchuriki is significantly stronger than the 10 Tails. We've seen that in the series. So falling below a 10 Tails Jinchuriki, that isn't anything to be ashamed of. Kakashi makes most sense when we finally look at what Ikimoto said all those years ago, when he said that Kakashi had a big role to play in the story, but it'd be a super huge spoiler if he revealed it. It lines up when you look at it. I know you guys are probably looking for the chapter review. Some of you guys might even expected this to be the chapter review. And all I have to say is that will be out later today. One of my editors is working diligently on the review right now. So we'll have it up on the channel later today, probably sometime during the night, most likely, since we're trying out some new things for the review, because we want to keep upping the quality of the reviews for you guys. So sit tight. I appreciate your patience. However, while you wait on that review, click here to watch my Chainsaw Man chapter 118 review, or click here to watch this Naruto Explained video.